this time. So far, we have two that in our program, that is early childhood care and education. Under this early childhood care and third is planning and implementation of early childhood care and education. Under this, I have seen the program implementation, conservation, and storytelling, game, creative activity, physics, right? And also in black, we have seen the school readiness, some of the skills required for school readiness. In that, we have seen pre-reading, pre-numbering, and pre-writing. We have seen pre-numbering and pre-writing. Today, we will see the learning we to do, which is black tree. In this black tree, we will be studying learning people. Learning people. In this learning people, we will be studying the objective of the unit and our significance of the material in the early years of learning, definition and meaning of teaching learning aid, brief history of use of teaching learning aid, educational value of learning aid and material, advantages of the teaching learning aid,
Some misconception about the audiovisual aids. So, as we know, as a educationalist or educational psychologist or as a teachers, learning takes place in the preschool years, that is at the age of 3 to 6 years, through what the child sees, hears, and does. So, by seeing around the child, by observing, and by hearing the ears, and also by doing, learning by doing something. So, audio, visual, and kinesthetic. So, child can learn by observing whatever happening around the child, and also whatever hearing to ears, and also by doing something after seeing and hearing. So, learning takes place by these primary styles. Next is the child learns through his senses by exploring the world around him. So, the child learn through the imitation, imitating from the child's parent, and repeat, and also observation. So, as the child grows, he also learns through his environment. So, after some time, child, that is, as the child grows, the child also learns to the environment, from the environment. So, here the communication is the basis for the learning. So, the basic or the proper communication is essential for learning, and it is a process of sharing ideas, opinions, feelings, knowledge, and skills between the adult and the child. So here the communication is essential. Proper communication or effective communication is essential. So what is communication? Communication is nothing but sharing the ideas, sharing the feelings, sharing the thoughts between child and the adult, or child and the parent, caregiver, or sometimes teacher, and also peers. So here the communication involves not only written oral words but also sometimes gestures, by showing some gestures, verbal or sometimes non-verbal gestures. So other learning materials and the resources. So in the process of communication, audio visual material and aids play a very important or a crucial role. So during the course of the learning, teaching learning materials are very important for child. If you provide an effective teaching aids, teaching learning materials, or teaching learning resources, the effective learning takes place. Otherwise, child face difficulty in learning. See, effective learning happens if you provide or if you use a very good or relevant or appropriate teaching learning aids in your teaching. Then only child get some idea, or child get a proper understanding about that particular concept or particular unit. So audio visual aids, audio visual material, communication technology, educational instructional media, and learning resources. All these terms, broadly speaking, mean the same thing. That is, earlier the term used was audio visual aids in education. But with the advancements in educational technology, the terms learning resources and teaching learning material as now being used. So now we are calling them as information and communication technology. Information and the communication technology, or you can say the educational technology, is very important technology in nowadays. Teachers are using for effective teaching learning process. So after completing this course, you will be able to understand briefly the history of the use of audio visual aids in education, educating the children or the young children, and also you are able to understand the significance of the material and aids in the teaching learning process, and also you know the value and the advantages of the learning aids in early childhood education. So the next is significance of the materials in the early years of the learning. So before that, we'll see the different definitions given by the educationalists. So the significance of the learning in the early years of learning. Okay, sorry for the interruption. So here some of the definitions in and meaning of the teaching learning aids. So teaching learning aids and audio visual aids are often used synonymously or interchangeably and mean the same. So teaching aids which affect our organs, audibility that is hearing, and vision that is sight, are called audio visual aids. So teaching aids which affect our organs of audibility and vision are called audio visual aids. So some of the definitions of audio visual aids are like Balla CL. According to Balla CL, audio visual aids are devices and procedures that help to make learning more interesting and more effective. So the teaching learning aids are nothing but which affects or which make interesting, which make more interesting, which make more effective. This is according to Balla CH. And the next definition is according to Boston. Audio visual aids are those sensory objects or images which initiate or stimulate and reinforce learning. So audio visual aids are those with those sensory objects or images which initiate or stimulate and reinforcement learning. Yeah. So according to Ballas, we have seen the definition of the teaching learning aid, and according to Edgar Dale, this is very important definition. So audio visual aids are those devices by the use of which communication of ideas between persons and groups in various teaching and training situations are helped, and these are also termed as multisensory material. These are helped in multi-sensory material. So here audio visual aids are those devices by the use of which communication of ideas, communication of the ideas between persons, between the persons, like between one student to another student, and teacher to student. Sometimes teachers to group of students, or between one group to another group in various teaching and training situations are helped, and these are also termed as multisensory material. Next is according to Goods Dictionary of Education. Goods Dictionary of Education. According to this Goods Dictionary of Education, audiovisual aids are anything by means of which learning process may be encouraged or carried out through the sense of hearing or sense of sight. So here audio visual aids are anything by means of which learning process may be encouraged, may be carried out on through the sense of hearing, sense of observing. This is about Goods Dictionary of Education. Next is Kinder S. James. According to Kinder S. James, audio-visual aids are any device which can be used to make the learning experience more concrete, more realistic, and more dynamic. So, audio-visual aids are any device which can be used to make the learning experiences more concrete, more realistic, and the more dynamic. This is according to Kinder and S. James. Next is Carter V. Good. According to Carter V. Good, audio visual aids are those aids which help in completing the triangular process of learning. What is the triangular process of learning? That is motivation, classification, and the stimulation. This triangular process takes place by using audio visual aids. If these things happen, that is motivation, intrinsic motivation within the child or extrinsic motivation from outside, if it happens, next is the classification and the stimulation take place, which are the aids are helpful in completing this triangular process. This is according to Carter V. Good. Next is MC Cownine Roberts. MC Cownine Roberts, according to them, audio-visual aids are supplementary devices, some additive devices by which the teacher, through the utilization of more than one sensory channel, utilization of the more than two sensory channels, is able to clarify, establish, and correlate concepts, interpretation, and appreciation. Okay, so utilization of more than one sensory channels is able to more sensory channel. Either it may be our eyes or ears or sometimes kinesthetic mode. By using these sensory channels, is able to clarify, the concept and establish the concrete concepts which is not visible, which is observable concepts, and also interpretation and the appreciation, interpreting the idea, explaining the idea of the concept, and also the appreciation. This is according to MC Cohn and the Roberts. So to present in a nutshell, audio visual aids are devices that help to clarify, establish, correlate, and coordinate the accurate concepts and make learning more concrete, effective, interesting, and meaningful. So here we'll see, in a nutshell, I have already told you that. So Audio visual aids refers to tools and resources used in educational settings. So, in the context of ECC, educational setting that engage both the auditory and visual senses of learners. In the context of early childhood care and education, these aids are particularly significant as they cater to the developmental needs of young children who learn best through sensory experiences and interactive play. So, generally, the learning happens in early child or preschool children by sensory or through sensory experiences, by sensing, by seeing and hearing, and also interactive play. Activity based teaching learning methods are helpful for this early childhood care and education, for effective early childhood care program. So audio-visual aids are the materials and equipment used to communicate the information in multi-sensory manner. So they combine sounds, that is audio, and the image or a visual representation, that is visual, to enhance learning experiences. So as we know that the learning aids or teaching learning aids may be audio aids like music, songs, recorded stories, rhymes, and spoken instructions. All these comes under audio aids. Next is the visual aids. Visual aids are pictures, charts, flashcards, drawings, and the slides. All this comes under visual aids. Next is the audio visual aids. Audio visual aids like videos, animated clips, interactive software, and multimedia presentations. All this comes under audio visual aids. So the concept of using audio visual aids in early childhood care and education is grounded in the understanding that young children learn more effectively when they can see and hear the information simultaneously. So this seeing or observing and hearing should be simultaneously. There should not be the delay in the two processor, sensory process. This dual sensory approach supports the holistic development of the children and addressing the cognitive, social, emotional, and physical domain. So, by using this audio visual aids, the sensory experience may be enhanced by using these audio visual aids, and also the multiple skills development is happen, development of multiple skills, and also promotion of active learning take place. So by using these audio visual aids, there is a possibility of promotion of active learning and also cultural and contextual relevance by using this audio visual aids, and also support for diverse learning needs. See, children come from diverse backgrounds and also individual differences present among the children. Some children may face difficulty in learning difficulties like dysphasia, dysgraphia, dyslexia. These are some of the learning difficulties. This is due to the developmental difficulties or some of the difficulties due to the genetical problems, genetic mutation. Okay. So for this, overcoming these difficulties, learning difficulties, this audio visual aids support for diverse learning needs. Next is the encouragement of creative and the imagination. So by using this teaching learning aids, there is a possibility of encouragement of creativity and the imagination. Okay, this is about the concept of teaching learning aids. Next is a brief history of the use of the audio visual aids. Brief history of using of audio visual aids. Okay, let's see the brief history of use of the audio visual aids. So, use of teaching learning aids is not a new development in the field of child education, in the field of education. So, we are all aware of the fact that pictures, diagrams and other materials were in the use of the ancient days in our country to make training meaningful and the effective. So, even in the 10th and current 10th century AD, the palm leaves that were used in India instead of paper had plentiful illustration. So in the Western countries, the beginning of visual education can be traced from the 15th century AD. So D. Erasmus in 1466 to 1536, a Dutch scholar, was against memorization as a learning method and urged that children should learn through pictures or other visual. So he was against the rote memorization. He advised that learning through the or by showing some pictures or other visuals, that should be very effective. He argued and also he advised. Next is the J.A. Comenius in 1592 to 1670, a Polish bishop and the teacher prepared an illustrated textbook of 150 pictures or with sensually pictures, which means the world of sense objects. So, in this book, each page of his book covered a particular topic related to practical aspects of everyday life, such as gardening, bread making, etc. So, this book is considered to be the first illustrated textbook for child education and gave a wide publicity all over the world. So, here some of the key points you will see. Next is the Jean-Jacques Rousseau. J.J. Rousseau was also against the memorization of the words without understanding them, and he advocated the use of sensory materials in learning situations. So he therefore condemned the use of words by teacher and stressed on the use of these things. Next is J.H. Pestology. A pestology followed Rousseau's advices and strongly advocated that the instructions should be based on sense perception and instead of intelligent observation of the common objects of nature. And next, Nelson Green used the term visual education as early as 1920s. Eric Asby identified the use of electronic media in education. So a rapid advancement has taken place in the development and use of electronic media in child education in the past 4 to 5 decades. So here audio visual aids play a very important or crucial role in engaging young learners by making learning both fun and effective. As we know that these audio visual aids play a crucial role in engaging young children, young learner by making learning both fun and effective. So for early beginners or for early beginnings of audio visual learning aids, visual aids in early ancient times, we have already seen that since ancient times, educators have used visual elements to enhance learning. For instance, drawing the pictures were used to tell stories and convey information. In classroom, in early classrooms, simple tools like blackboards, pictures, and drawing were the primary visual aids used to support teaching. So, if you see development in the 20th century, introduction of the film strips and projectors. So, in the early 1900s, film strips and the projectors were introduced, allowing educators to present information in a more engaging way. So these tools began to be used in early childhood classrooms to make lessons more interactive and visually stimulating. These are more interactive and visually stimulating. So the impact of radio and audio recordings, if you see the impact of radio and audio recordings, so that in 1920s, the 1920s saw the advent of radio, which became an educational tool, broadcasting programs and the stories designed for the children. Number of programs were telecasted in the radio, and also some of the programs, tape recorders, sorry, phonographs, and the later tape recorders were used to play music, stories, and other educational content, enriching audio auditory learning experience. So after rising of television, see educational TV programs have started. In the 1950s and the 1960s, the educational televisions programs like Sesame Street emerged, specifically designed to educate and entertain young children. So the television made high quality educational content accessible to a wide audience, significantly impacting early childhood education. So the digital revolution has happened, introducing of the computer. So the late 20th century saw the introduction of the computers and the educational software, making the beginning of digital revolution in the education. So digital media like CDs, DVDs, and interactive computers programs provided new ways of children to engage with educational content. So the internet and the modern technology nowadays, proliferation of the internet, that 2000 year 2000 brought the internet with revolutionized access to educational research, online platforms, and digital content became widely available. Now we have been using that Zoom, Google Meet, WebEx. All these are the digital platforms using interactive classes. Some of the educational apps like interactive apps and the games designed for early childhood education became popular, offering engaging and interactive learning experience. All these apps and the internet, all these are making offering engaging, interactive and the learning more effective learning experience. Nowadays, we're also experience are using interactive whiteboards and the smart boards. So integration in classroom in the 2000 and the 2010, interactive whiteboards became common in the classroom, including in our ECC setting. So these tools allow for dynamic interactive lessons that integrate visual and the audio elements, enhancing the learning experience. So there are number of trends have come, like current trends and the innovation, modern technology. Like today we see the use of tablets, virtual reality, and augmented reality in early childhood education. So these technologies provide immersive learning experience that enable creativity, that improve creativity and critical thinking from engage. So audio visual aids have evolved from simple visual tools to the more advanced digital technologies, each stage beginning new opportunities to enhance learning. So these aids are crucial in making learning engaging and effective for young children, supporting their overall development. So if you see this audio visual education in India, the subject of audio visual education in India was considered for the first time by the All India Educational Conference held in January 1948. 1948. So the government of India then appointed a committee to examine the problems of visual aids at different levels of education. What are the problems are facing in education? Levels of the education we have 5 plus 3, 2 plus 1, 5 plus 3, 2. So primary education, upper primary education, higher education. So the production of educational films was encouraged in 1949, leading to the establishment of the film societies and visual educational centers. So films related to various topics on children, geography, science, hygiene, nursing, etc. were produced and telecasted. So in 1951, the All India Conference in Audiovisual Education was organized by the Ministry of Education to examine the various aspects of audiovisual education. So in the month of May 1952, the National Board of Audiovisual Education was set up. This gave an impetus to the government of audio in the development of audiovisual education in India. So in 1955, on the recommendation of the National Board for Audiovisual Education, the government of India under the second 5-year plan established the state audiovisual boards and encouraged audiovisual education in the teacher training institution, diploma in elementary education, bachelor of education, Masters of Education programs. They also encourage the private producers in the production of audiovisual aids and the equipment. So, private partnership. They encourage the private producers. So, the National Institute of Audiovisual Education, now called the Department of Audiovisual Education of the National Council of Educational Research and Training, started functioning from 1st April 1959. Now, NCERT. The institute held several short-term courses of audiovisual education in 1960 and also in the later years on the topic related to the operation and the maintenance of audiovisual equipment and making audiovisual aids and the material. So the National Board for Audiovisual Education was developed in May 1964 by the Minister of Education in order to rationalize the existing committees and the board. In 1965, the Indian Institute of Mass Communication was set up in New Delhi. The institute provides training in the skills and the background needed by the information personnel in public sector undertake. So the training includes instructions in audiovisual techniques for effective mass communication. The National Policy on Education 1986 and as modified in 1992 has also laid stress on the use of teaching aids, especially improvised aids, to make teaching learning more effective and realistic. Over the years, India has made considerable progress in the field of audiovisual education and continues to do so in the modern times as well. However, the production and the use of audiovisual education in ECE in private and the rural schools still remain sadly neglected. It is therefore the responsibility of the teachers to make regular. So it is therefore the responsibility of the teachers. Therefore, the responsibility of the teachers to make regular use of audiovisual aids and materials in the preschool to make the teaching learning process interesting, meaningful children, meaningful for children. So more effective and more realistic learning, teaching happen if you use audio visual aids in your teaching. As it is to teachers, as teachers, we should use audio visual aids frequently, frequently. Then only the teaching learning would be more effective, more meaningful, more realistic. So the educational value of learning aids and the materials in the early years of learning. So we have seen that according to Edgar Dale, audio-visual material supply concrete basis for conceptual learning and give rise to meaningful concepts enriched by the meaningful association. So learning, which is a complex process, occurs as a result of newly acquired skills, knowledge, perception, facts, etc. So learning can be reinforced with a variety of learning aids. Learning can be reinforced by using a variety of teaching learning aids and materials as they are capable of. stimulating, motivating, and attracting the child's attention during instructional and learning process. Hence, a variety of learning aids and the materials need to be provided to the children for their effective learning. So, a learning aid, as teacher have understood earlier, is a tool used by the teacher to help children improve their comprehension. It also helps to illustrate strength, strengthen skills in the children. The hard to understand principles and concepts are usually made clear by the creative use of skillful designed learning or instructional aids. So our sense organs serve as a gateway of the knowledge, gateways of the knowledge. Sensory experience through touching, taste, smell, and sight form the basis of learning. So these experiences can be provided in the classroom through the use of learning aids. These aids strengthen, re-strengthen the spoken and the written modes with concrete images, which form a strong foundation for learning. Aids that supplement the teacher's effort for facilitating the learning process in the children and help in making them learn more effectively. Think of a teacher who is verbally attempting to convey an idea, the idea of a bird, which the children have not seen earlier. She or a teacher describes its height, color, and other features, but none of the children are able to form a correct idea of a bird. But how accurately they could form an idea of the bird by actually seeing it, touching it, and feeling it. See, whatever the explanation or illustration without showing any real object. So the formation of the concept among the child's brain may not be in a clear way. If you see the realistic image, or you can say, if you use a real bird by actually seeing it, touching it, and feeling it, it may not be possible for teacher to bring the real bird or to the classroom. Sometimes it may not be possible. However, a model, a film, or the picture of the bird can clarify the concept and can make learning much easier and meaningful. So the audio visual aids can therefore help children to see things that are distant and the form concept. So concept formation